The silence in the aftermath was deafening. It was as if the very air had been sucked out of Willow Creek, leaving behind an eerie stillness that seemed to stretch on forever. The once bustling streets, filled with the sounds of daily life, now lay empty and desolate, a stark contrast to the vibrant community it once was. A silence broken only by the distant echo of sirens, a haunting reminder of the chaos that had unfolded. The flashing lights of police cars cast long, flickering shadows on the walls of homes, creating an atmosphere of unease and fear. The sirens, once a rare sound in this peaceful town, now seemed to be a constant presence, a grim reminder of the tragedy that had struck. And the hushed whispers of neighbors peering from behind drawn curtains. Fear and uncertainty gripped the hearts of the townspeople as they tried to make sense of the horror that had invaded their lives. Conversations were held in low tones, and every creak and rustle was met with anxious glances. The sense of community that once defined Willow Creek was now overshadowed by suspicion and dread. This wasn't supposed to happen here, not in the heartland of America, not in the small, quiet town of Willow Creek, Missouri. But it did. The picturesque streets lined with American flags and well-kept homes now seemed like a cruel mockery of the peace that had been shattered. The town square, once a place of gathering and joy, now stood as a silent witness to the unthinkable. And now, the once peaceful community was grappling with the unthinkable, forever scarred by the actions of one of their own. Memorials with flowers and candles dotted the town, each one a poignant reminder of the lives lost and the innocence stolen. Vigils were held, where townspeople gathered to mourn and seek solace in each other's company, trying to find a way to heal from the deep wounds inflicted upon their community. Willow Creek, a town where everyone knew their neighbors, where friendly greetings and casual conversations over fences were a daily occurrence, where children played freely on the streets, their laughter echoing through the neighborhoods, and where the biggest worry was usually the annual bake-off, a cherished event that brought everyone together in friendly competition, was now the center of a shocking crime. The sight of police cars and crime scene tape was a jarring image against the backdrop of this once idyllic town. The sense of safety and security that had been taken for granted was now replaced by a pervasive sense of vulnerability. The perpetrator? A seemingly ordinary woman named Sarah Miller. To the outside world, she was just another resident, blending in seamlessly with the fabric of the community. But beneath the surface, a storm was brewing, one that would leave an indelible mark on Willow Creek. Her victims, innocent lives caught in the crossfire of a mind unraveling. The community, now united in grief, struggled to comprehend the magnitude of the loss. Each victim was a beloved member of the town, their absence leaving a void that could never be filled. As Willow Creek mourned, the question lingered. How could such darkness take root in a place so full of light? Sarah Miller was an enigma to most. She was the kind of person who could walk into a room and instantly make everyone feel at ease, yet there was always something about her that seemed just a little off. Her eyes, though kind, held a flicker of something unsettling, a hint of sadness that never quite went away. A quiet, unassuming woman, she blended seamlessly into the fabric of Willow Creek. The town itself was small, the kind of place where everyone knew everyone else, and Sarah was no exception. She was a part of the town's daily life, a fixture in its routines. She was a familiar face at the local grocery store, where she would often be seen chatting with the cashier or helping an elderly neighbor with their bags. Her presence was comforting, a constant in the ever-changing world. A regular at church bake sales, Sarah was always the first to volunteer, her baked goods a favorite among the congregation. She had a way of making everyone feel special, of making them believe that they mattered. Her warm smile was known to brighten even the gloomiest of days. It was a smile that could light up a room, that could make even the most troubled soul feel at peace. But behind her pleasant demeanor, a darkness festered. It was a darkness that she kept well hidden, a part of herself that she never let anyone see. It was as if she was living a double life, one that was filled with secrets and lies. Neighbors would later recall fleeting moments when Sarah's cheerful facade seemed to crack, revealing glimpses of a simmering rage beneath the surface. These moments were rare, but they were enough to make people wonder. There were times when her anger would flare up unexpectedly, like a storm that came out of nowhere. It was a side of her that no one wanted to see, a side that she tried desperately to keep under control. An argument with the mailman over a misplaced package, a seemingly trivial matter that escalated into a shouting match. It was a moment that left everyone who witnessed it in shock. a heated exchange with a fellow churchgoer, a disagreement that turned into a public spectacle. It was a scene that no one in the congregation would soon forget, a sudden outburst at a town meeting, an event that left the entire community in a state of disbelief. It was as if a different person had taken over, someone they didn't recognize, all dismissed as isolated incidents, insignificant blips in the otherwise unremarkable life of Sarah Miller. But for those who paid attention, these moments were clues, pieces of a puzzle that hinted at a much darker truth. As the investigation into the shooting spree unfolded, whispers of Sarah's troubled past began to surface. There were hushed conversations about a difficult divorce, whispers of financial struggles, and rumors of a family history marred by mental illness. Some townsfolk claimed to have witnessed Sarah behaving erratically in the weeks leading up to the shooting, her once warm smile replaced with a vacant stare. However, these whispers and rumors painted an incomplete picture of Sarah Miller. While she undoubtedly faced challenges in her life, none seemed significant enough to explain the horrific act she would commit. The truth, as it often does, lay buried deeper, concealed beneath layers of assumptions and obscured by the passage of time. The morning of the shooting dawned like any other in Willow Creek. The town, nestled in the heart of the countryside, was known for its serene landscapes and close-knit community. It was a place where everyone knew each other, and life moved at a gentle, unhurried pace. The sun rose over the cornfields, casting a golden glow on the peaceful town. The golden rays of the sun bathed the fields in a warm light, promising another day of tranquility and routine. Children boarded school buses, their laughter echoing through the crisp autumn air. Parents waved goodbye, confident that their children were safe and sound, heading off to another day of learning and play. Shopkeepers opened their doors, greeting familiar faces with a smile. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafted through the air as the local cafe prepared for the morning rush. It was a scene of everyday life, filled with the comforting routines that defined Willow Creek. Life went on, blissfully unaware of the darkness that was about to descend. People went about their business, chatting with neighbors and enjoying the simple pleasures of small-town life. The tranquility was shattered shortly after noon when gunshots rang out near Willow Creek's town square. The sound was jarring, a stark contrast to the usual quiet of the town. It took a moment for the reality to sink in, for people to realize that something terrible was happening. Panic ensued as shoppers and pedestrians scattered for cover. The once peaceful streets were now filled with screams and the sound of hurried footsteps. People ducked behind cars, hid in shops, and did whatever they could to protect themselves from the unseen threat. By the time the echoes of gunfire faded, 3 people lay dead, and 2 others were critically injured. The town square, once a place of community and joy, was now a scene of chaos and sorrow. Paramedics rushed to attend to the injured, while police began to secure the area and search for the shooter. The shooter, witnesses would later tell police, was none other than Sarah Miller, a name that everyone in Willow Creek knew, but no one could have ever imagined being associated with such a horrific act. The town was left in shock, grappling with the reality that one of their own had committed such a heinous crime. Section 5. A trail of terror unfolds. Sarah's rampage began at the local grocery store where she had been a regular customer for years. Witnesses described her walking calmly through the aisles, her eyes vacant, her hand clutching a handgun. Without warning, she opened fire, fatally wounding the young cashier who had always greeted her with a smile. From there, Sarah moved to the town square, her path marked by a trail of blood and terror. She shot a retired teacher walking his dog, a young couple enjoying their lunch at an outdoor cafe, and a local businessman rushing to a meeting. Her motives remained a chilling mystery, her actions seemingly random and devoid of logic. Section 6. The long arm of the law. News of the shooting sent shockwaves through Willow Creek and beyond. As the community reeled from the tragedy, law enforcement agencies from across the state descended upon the town, determined to piece together the events that led to the carnage and bring the perpetrator to justice. The investigation was led by Detective Bill Thompson, a seasoned investigator known for his unwavering dedication to justice. With a heavy heart and a steely resolve, Detective Thompson vowed to leave no stone unturned in his pursuit of the truth. His team worked tirelessly, interviewing witnesses, gathering forensic evidence, and piecing together the fragments of a shattered community. Section 7. Justice, but at what cost? The manhunt for Sarah Miller was swift and intense. After a tense standoff with police, she was apprehended at a motel on the outskirts of town. The arrest brought a sense of relief to the terrified community, but it did little to ease the pain and grief that had settled over Willow Creek like a shroud. Sarah Miller was tried and convicted on multiple counts of murder and attempted murder. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Justice, it seemed, had been served. But for the families of the victims and the people of Willow Creek, the scars of that day would forever remain. Section 8. Scars that time can't heal. In the aftermath of the shooting, Willow Creek struggled to come to terms with the tragedy. The once vibrant town square, now a solemn reminder of the lives lost, stood eerily quiet. The laughter of children playing, once a familiar sound, was replaced by a haunting silence. The community came together to support the families of the victims, offering comfort and solace in the face of unimaginable loss. Candlelight vigils were held, funds were raised, and counseling services were offered to those struggling to cope with the trauma. But the healing process was slow and arduous, a painful journey marked by grief, anger, and a profound sense of loss. Section 9. Unanswered questions linger. Years have passed since the shooting that shattered the peace in Willow Creek. The town has slowly begun to heal, but the memory of that day continues to cast a long shadow. The question that lingers in the minds of many is, why? What drove Sarah Miller to commit such a heinous act? Some speculate that Sarah was a victim of circumstance, a woman pushed to the brink by the weight of her struggles. Others believe that she was consumed by a darkness that no one could have foreseen. Whatever the reason, the truth remains elusive, locked away in the depths of a mind forever changed by tragedy.